The Existential Dilemma, the artist's message. So if we were to look at the purpose of the artist, in some way we could say that the purpose of the artist is to communicate the message, or whatever that message might be or where it's come from. It's usually come from an observation, whether that's an observation of the subconscious, an observation of the world, a philosophical observation. It's still the way that the artist has kind of seen something. And if that's the case, then the purpose of the artist through their work, through creating things, through recommunicating, whether that's through poetry or writing or painting or drawing, even sketching, it's a modality of communicating the message and kind of putting it down so that somebody else can pick it up. And we kind of miss this in today's world. I feel like artists and creatives are kind of forced to create things, to sell things, not to communicate the message. So there's a tension there. How do we communicate the message and survive simultaneously? If we get trapped in the cycle of just creating things to generate income, our focus goes a little bit away from conveying the message, because the focus is on creating wealth, creating income. And this is the greatest, and one of the greatest existential dilemmas of the artist, especially now, because there's never been so many people on the planet, and they've never been so interconnected. And it's never been the case before that so many people on the planet have the tools, permissions and modalities to communicate their own messages, whether that's to generate money or to shout about something which people have seen. So we're living in a time where there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of misguided motives. I feel like the social platforms which we have, they kind of all force us into a place of existentialism, where we're trying to carve out an existence before we carve out the message, or before we carve out the vision. And if you look at art schools now, this is a really classic thing to think about. Art schools tend to create creators, artists, to feed this thing called the art world, which is the industry, basically. And the industry kind of pretends that it's there to re-communicate messages, but it's not. The industry is there to generate wealth, to feed a system of asset management. It's not a system of conveying essential messages. It's there to sell visual arts. So as artists, like, where do we go from here? Is the question that I'm now working on with my own work. I believe that artists and creatives are the only people on the planet at the moment that have the skill set, have the exact skill set to see things in profoundly different ways, to use creativity to find ways to communicate what they've seen, and to have the philosophical depth to chew the visions around and to chew visions over, and then re-communicate the vision out into the world for others to read. But unfortunately, the medium that we have now, the social platforms, it seems to be the obvious go-to medium to represent the message. But those platforms, those mediums, force us into a state of what I'm calling at the moment contentification, where we're just forced to create content rather than clarify the message. So these are the things I'm thinking about today, and these all feed into this theme of the existential dilemma. I'm going to keep talking about this in different ways. Okay.